Previously on Making a Mug Club.
He demonetizes his own videos to sell more mugs.
Why would Owen lie like that? We couldn't have woven this tapestry of lies alone. The standout suspect was David Rubin. Gay David Rubin was hiding something.
No, Dave Rubin is definitely gay. Really, really gay.
Which led me back to my prime suspect all along. What happens next might be hard to believe.
Though still not entirely convinced of his homosexuality, I had to cross Dave Rubin off my list of primary suspects. But more than anything, when focusing on a motive to take out Mug Club, one person stood head and shoulders above the rest: Benjamin Shapiro. Cunning, ruthless, very Jewish. Benjamin Shapiro not only has a vested interest in the destruction of Mug Club financially, due to it being competitive with its asbestos-laden tumbler and having far more success, but in the industry it's well known that with Benjamin Shapiro, he hides a secret that he'll do anything to keep from going public. Benjamin Shapiro not only hosts a daily podcast and syndicated radio show, he writes articles every day for DailyWire.com, and up until recently also hosted a 3-hour morning drive show in Los Angeles. An impressive workload, to be sure, until you realize that Benjamin Shapiro uses a body double. It's well known in the podcasting industry that Benjamin Shapiro has a stable of body doubles ready to fill in for him at a moment's notice, and he'd do anything to keep that information from getting out, even if that meant taking out the one subscription service that was clearly superior. But to make this stick, I'd need more proof. So I decided to start with Benjamin Shapiro's morning commute. I took into account Los Angeles traffic and Benjamin's daily stops to see if time-wise, the math added up. It didn't. The best place to start was to confront the suspect himself, because we needed answers.
Who is it?
Mr. Shapiro, I'd like to ask you a few questions.
I'm actually quite busy right now, as a matter of fact.
Or should I say, I'd like to ask your body double a few questions, if you have a moment.
I'm calling the cops.
Mr. Shapiro, we just wanted to ask you about your...
Actually, I'm not answering anything because, in fact, you're an
Okay, Shapiro, don't be like that, all right? We all know that you use a body double.
We know that he just urinated on my fence post
What?
outside of my property line,
I didn't do anything.
which would make it public property, which will make you, in fact, a registered sex offender.
Understand
lovely outline of what we were discussing before the program with our guests who had never heard this American nomenclature for a certain part of the male anatomy. In third chair, I'll just plug them first, is Philim, McAleer, and Ann McElhinney. How are you both doing?
We're doing well.
Very happy to be here.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you don't seem so after that. Look, Philim is like a kid who said a dirty word in the school ground. Gosnellmovie.com, of course, for people who do not, and some great movies out there. My favorite one is probably Frack Nation. They're all good, but I really like Frack Nation because, you really stuck it to that Fox character. Of course, Quarter Black Garrett is producing. They're formerly, we're not get Jarrett will be visiting us every now and then, but you are Quarter Black, correct?
I am. It is confirmed.
To show the audience so they know to confirm. Yep. That's terrible. That is the hood equivalent of us being lined up and shot like Tom Cruise and Valkyrie. Gerald Morgan at G. Morgan Jr. What's the one?
The wine of the day is Bella Union, right?
Bella Union.
It's a good union, right?
Is union an Italian word?
Connotation.
Is there just combining things? It doesn't make any sense at all.
I have no idea.
I don't know. I think you're a drunk. We have Gavin McInnes on the show. And we have the HodgeTwins on the show. I think we have Prime Minister Trudeau on the show. And we have Colin Kaepernick on the show. Kaepernick? Kaepernick. Okay, Kaepernick. How do you guys pronounce it over there where you're from?
Kaepernick?
Unemployed.
Yes.
I love it. Translates
not to be confused with head, which we'll totally bleep so you don't know what we were talking about before the show. Here's my question too. Obviously this week it's been all about Kavanaugh. How much of it did you actually watch, the hearing? And with all of the misinformation out there and the professional protesters, we'll be talking about this later. I want to know, comment below, what do you consider from the left to be a conspiracy theory, like Russia, like patriarchy, versus pure propaganda? It's a thin line, and it's been blurred quite a bit. But first, before we talk about that, we are going to have to talk about a 2-minute ad from Nike. You've seen this narrated by none other than Colin Head as our Irish, our lovely Irish lady said. Here's a clip.
Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything.
A haircut?
So don't ask if your dreams are crazy. Ask if they're crazy enough.
Stop. Get out.
Really?
Commercial's going to air on NFL this Sunday. All right, I want to be quiet because we actually, I think, do we have him? We have an exclusive interview. I believe actually we have him.
I'm
let's be
respectful.
Let's be respectful. Just let it.
I'm not going to say anything.
Just me and him here to discuss the Nike ad is Kaepernick himself. Colin, are you there, sir?
Good to be with you, Stephen.
Yes, you're. It's been a while. So now your new Nike commercial obviously caused quite a stir. I'm sure you've noticed. What are you thinking? How are you feeling about this now?
Well, if my time in the NFL has taught me one, if my time in the NFL has given me one thing, it's irreversible brain damage. But if it has given me two things, it would be a platform for change.
Yes.
And so I intend to just do it, Stephen.
I see what you did there because that's the tagline. Doesn't answer my question, though. I'm curious as to what you think of the fallout now, the controversy, if you think this was actually a good move, really, for Nike.
I think so. For the country at large, really. I mean, yeah, the country is very divided right now. And I got to thinking, what do we need right now? And I think that politics should be at the forefront of all shoe buying decisions.
Okay.
I think that will heal us as a nation.
Yeah, it sounds like a terrible idea. How'd you come to that conclusion, Mr. Kaepernick?
No, it's a perfect idea. For example, did you know that Chuck Taylor owned slaves?
I did not know that. I'm not in his manner. I don't think that's accurate.
These are questions that consumers should be asking themselves, Stephen, before they make any shoe buying decision. Like Doc Martin, what was he a doctor of? Eugenics? We need to know these things.
Yeah,
Stephen.
I think you're actually just spreading misinformation, and that could actually be more divisive. By the way,
agree to disagree. Agree to disagree.
No, I'm not gonna agree to disagree. By the way, what is your percentage? Are you Indonesian? What's the? It's a little ambiguous here because I want to make sure I don't get it wrong.
I promise you, with more lead time, I'll do the full Ancestry.com on Colin Kaepernick.
Okay, all right. Next time, please, 23andMe this because this is going terribly. Do you miss the NFL? Do you miss San Francisco? Did you find them to be a little bit more tolerant of
I miss San Francisco like I miss an open receiver, Stephen. Not very often, okay? Last time I was in San Francisco, I saw a man simultaneously pinching a vein and a loaf. To give you an example of San Francisco. Good riddance, Stephen.
But, it is a left-leaning town, so I would think, you'd welcome their support.
That's true. And that's just the building, Stephen. That's just You see what I did there? The
Yeah,
building.
you're kind of doing a Jake LaMotta. This is at
I'm doing
the
all
feigning
sorts of
moments.
rebranding this week.
Okay, all right. I don't want to step on it. So okay, the buildings, but San Francisco. I mean, think about that for those are the people. 52% of Americans don't like you. Most people don't like you. Does that bother you?
Well, I think some mistakes were made.
Okay.
I think in hindsight being what it is,
Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't have
2020, I
chosen
think, is what
the
you were looking
anthem, something that people revere so much, to take my stand. That's why actually I'm trying to try something else. This spring I'm actually doing a charity Easter egg hunt.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know how that.
Over at Arlington National Cemetery. It's going to be really
well,
great.
okay, yeah.
I think I'm going to learn from a lot of my mistakes from the past.
I think you just need to make better choices. Another one just as a kind of a pro tip. The blazer does look like it's from the 1980s. It looks like something that Sylvester Stallone's wife from Rocky IV would have worn at some point.
I don't know. Who said I wouldn't be wearing shoulder pads this fall, Steven?
Okay, I see you did there. Finally, Mr. Kaepernick, what impact do you think that this is going to have on, since we're talking about long-term impacts, children? Children, when we're talking about the sporting community, obviously they're a big component to that.
The children making the clothes, or the children here?
Yeah, okay. I think this interview is about done. I think next time let's do.
Fantasy,
Yeah, okay. Colin Kaepernick, ladies and gentlemen, let's not do that again. I don't think we should continue having Mr. Kaepernick on the show anymore. I also think he was scared off by you, Ann.
Yeah.
I don't think he was thrilled by your comments.
I don't think he
earlier.
liked the name.
I don't follow football at all.
All right, so here's the deal. Like this guy, I just want a couple of numbers, right? His last 2 seasons in the NFL, he was 5-11 and 2-14. This is a guy that sucked at his job and he's out of it. This cost him nothing. He sacrificed nothing. This was his only way to get paid post-football.
Probably had to spend a little extra on knee pads. The budget adds up.
Yeah.
Wait, you're misconstruing that. I mean, because he kneeled.
Oh yeah.
What did you think?
Hey, we know what he thought.
We know what he thought. We've heard his filthy mind.
And way to turn on a brother really quickly.
Real fast. That
You're the
happened
only
quick.
person who's possibly more black than him.
Exactly. He doesn't count.
He looks Persian. All right. I don't even know what Persian exactly is. In Trump news, because we have to talk about Trump, an anonymous senior official, that's how you know it's legitimate, has admitted to being a part of, quote, the resistance inside the White House. This comes from the New York Times. Direct quote, many of the senior officials in Trump's own administration are working diligently from within to frustrate parts of his agenda and his worst inclinations. You've been reading about this?
Yes.
You've been hearing about this? Yeah.
Well,
you trust the source?
Well, it reminds me of, and I wrote about it today in Town Hall, when we were doing fracking, the New York Times ran a piece, an anti-fracking piece, where they quoted a federal insider, an industry insider, a senior official on these emails. They redacted the names. The Senate was able to go back and look at who these people were. It was the same intern.
It's the same intern?
So there was an intern. They split him into a senior insider, a federal insider, and an industry insider. He was an intern at the Energy Information Association.
Wow. Can you confirm this, Ann?
He was like God, basically. He was like a holy trinity, He was everywhere and nowhere.
I've never seen you let him speak that long.
Oh, that is okay. We're not. This is Me Too. Me Too hashtag.
You need to take
Me Too
over.
hashtag. There's only boys here, and I'm alone.
Grab his.
And this is the second time this has happened. The other time was off air.
Right.
Me Too hashtag.
Grab his headset mic and grab so he doesn't have anything. You got all. You got all.
What you were going to say there when you said grab his.
No, grab his. Oh,
well, especially given
the Irish are a filthy people.
No. I came here.
R-bombs and dirty jokes.
No, I came here in good faith. And it just went all down.
Anyways, well, this one, no one knows for sure who wrote the article, actually, but we do have our own suspicions. Yeah, he's not very good with the. I feel as though that could be interpreted properly and seen as cultural appropriation.
That is the bad side.
That is exactly what that is.
This person better hope they remain anonymous, in my opinion.
That's the only person probably whiter than Philim that I can think of. It's Mike Pence.
He's from down the road. He's from Ireland.
Is he really? Yeah, he's from down the road.
He's literally.
He's from. Seriously, you know the way people say, you're from Ireland. Oh God, I've got a friend in Dublin, or I've got a friend in Galway.
I'm from Ireland.
We met Mike Pence because some of us were invited to the White House. We're not going to get into it, but there you go. It just happened. And Mike Pence said, Phelim said to him, do you know Ireland? And Mike Pence looked at him like he was a simpleton and said to him, yeah, I spent summers in Tubbercurry. No one would lie about spending summers in Tubbercurry. Trust me.
Crappy.
Well, it's kind of the middle of nowhere, in the middle of nowhere, which is Roscommon. My mother's from Roscommon, so I'm able to say
Our one
that.
fan in Tubbercurry right now is like, son of a
And you know what? I'll bet you someone is going to get in touch from Tubbercurry, because we went to Ireland, by the way, when we were promoting the Gosnell film, and we were in Galway, we were in Dublin, and Phelim and I were there in our own country. We're obviously Irish.
Irish heroes.
And the next thing, this like band of people come up and said, "Oh my God, we love you," which people say to us all the time, by the way. You know, we heard about you on Louder with Crowder, and we're going, seriously? The guy from Detroit is the guy that told you about that? Like, how does that even happen? That seems so wrong.
You mean that half Canadian scumbag?
Well, actually, that is what I said, but I was.
No, they changed it in post. They changed it in post production.
I was trying to be nice.
You and Dean Cain. Dean Cain gets recognized by a lot of young people who hadn't actually seen Lois and Clark. So he's like, I've done a lot other than Louder with Crowder. No, it is sad. I wouldn't want this to be my legacy.
Hallmark
And I am the show. I don't want it to be my legacy.
Really, have you got a singing career ahead of you, or what is it? What is the?
I think mixtapes. Yeah, mixtapes. I'm doing some sampling with tracks.
Or he's going to be in the next Dinesh D'Souza movie.
Yes,
Singing.
I will. The problem is I won't get enough airtime because my name's not Dinesh or D'Souza. By the way, hit the notification bell for those who are subscribed, because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot. Join Mug Club. You get the daily show like you see today, only every single day. And of course, you can join up on iTunes for the Labor Day weekends when you want to listen. And
if you're very good when you come on the Louder with Crowder show, they don't put coffee in here; they put beer in here.
They do put beer in there. The fact that you're speaking that way
that may have been a mistake.
Makes me a little uncomfortable. It's giving me a hand that rocks the cradle vibe.
Number one. I'm going to count them down to the show.
Speaking of Pence, this is actually a good segue. Turning to Mexico, Guadalajara just legalized sex in public to prevent extortion.
That's fabulous.
If you're not following the line of law, I didn't initially. Let me read a quote from Newsweek. Council members say it's to prevent police from extorting young couples caught having sex, and also to channel police toward investigating more serious crimes, including the region's rising murder rate. Well, it would seem that should be at the top of your priority list.
Yeah.
But of course,
cops are funny. I mean, in London, they're running around policing people's Twitter accounts while the murder rate's going through the roof.
Yes, and van control. But I can see why people are a little upset, because Trump actually immediately exploited this with a loophole through Tinder. And deported. And she's gone. Oh la la. Frankly, this I like. Well, just thank God if it were Obama, it'd be Grindr. Hashtag me dose. Hashtag me dose.
That was a subtle one I like.
Look, it seems like they're focusing on the wrong thing here. Like, you just, at some point, don't you have to focus on the corrupt cops? Otherwise, you just have to legalize pretty much everything.
At some point, you have to focus on not being Mexico.
Yeah, well, exactly. Gang violence, well, the cops are corrupt, so just legalize that so that they're not taking bribes.
Well, that's like what happened in Portugal. When people point to it as a success, they ended the drug war. But I'm like, do you know how much they've spent on these massive public rehabilitation programs? And I understand constitutionally, if someone wants to do heroin in a state, I understand the argument for it. But Portugal is not a shining beacon of success. People, they have heroin. It's like shanty towns.
Yeah.
Like Hoover. They have not Hoover. Sorry. Yes, Hoover. Yeah, Hoover. They have those, but with heroin.
Yeah. These no-go places. Just don't go there.
All your Portuguese fans are going to be writing right now.
Yeah, all of them that are high are loving us right now.
There is no obrigado for you. You want to fight? That's Brazilian Portuguese.
I know
and now
exactly.
the Portuguese getting mad at the Brazilian Portuguese because it's not proper Portuguese. Finally, the jeans company, Levi Strauss, you know them as Levi's, I call them Levi Strauss, is teaming up with a new gun control group because it's 2018 and they simply cannot stand by silently. This is a quote from the company. Americans shouldn't have to live in fear of gun violence. It's an issue that affects all of us, all generations, and all walks of life. Thank you, Levi's. This is the direction they're choosing to go. Stands, of course, in stark contrast to notoriously pro-gun Wrangler's jeans, their recent commercial with their spokesperson, Brett Favre, who was dragging a gay behind his pickup, which seemed a little bit...
Why does he have a ball
as
bag?
though, well, I don't think you need to ask why. I love how Anne laughed and Philem's like, we shouldn't be on the show. This was a grave mistake.
Oh, the beer helps.
We have a wide theatrical release coming.
Yes. That's right.
By the way, Guess Jeans still won't say what they believe in, so you just let that one ride. See what we did there? Every now and then something a little bit clever. I want to toss to you here because you've done so many films as it relates to media, and obviously you sat under you were pupils of the great Andrew Breitbart.
Yes.
When I see you guys, actually, you're probably the people I see most. I see Andrew the most because I was introduced to Ben through Andrew, and he just loved you guys. I think it was the accent a little bit. I'll be honest. That seemed to add to it. But you guys were in charge of big environment back when it was Breitbart, big Hollywood, big government, big environment. Yeah. We toss this to the audience. We're going to get into the Kavanaugh debacle this week, the charades. Do you think that the left is the wing of conspiracy theories, or do you think it's just propaganda?
I think the left it's fairy tales.
Okay.
They like fairy tales, which are kind of conspiracy. They love a great story with a happy ending and and a villain and all that. And, they don't. Yeah, it's conspiracy theories, but they're with a fairy tale running through them. I suppose all conspiracy. So yeah, conspiracy theories.
So it's like Aesop's conspiracy theory.
Yes.
Like slow and corrupt.
Good job.
Loses the election.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I guess. Okay.
Why are we always the villain in these stories? I don't know.
America?
No, us. It's conservatives.
Oh, I thought you meant the United States because we had Irish
too,
people here.
yeah.
Yeah, but both of us, conservatives, white males, we're always
We're
the bad
screwed.
guy. So
Yeah, wow.
here's the thing: they've used the recent deplatforming of InfoWars to push this narrative that the right wing has a sort of corner on fear mongering and conspiracy theories. Now, not only do I think the narrative is untrue, but organizations like CNN. This is my presupposition here. This is my contention. CNN is far more dangerous in the long run. As their conspiracy theories, propaganda, we'll get to it. I want to hear what you think. They go completely unchecked.
Yeah.
And people know if there's a radio show that says there are interdimensional vampires who are reading your mind. People know, like, okay, this is kind of political theater. But when it comes to CNN, they're actually selling people a false bill of goods. Keep in mind the textbook definition of conspiracy theory. I want to make sure we bring this up. Of course, Merriam-Webster, apparently a white supremacist racist. All of that. We have to preface it. A theory that explains an event or a set of circumstances as the result of a secret plot by usually powerful conspirators. So, the Kavanaugh hearings have showcased this pretty damn clearly that this has been a big part of the left. So we'll talk more about the hearing a little bit later. It was chaotic few days. Did you follow it a lot?
Yeah.
A bit.
Was it too hard to tune in?
It's hard to watch.
I almost chose not to watch because I knew exactly what was going to happen.
Well, the Women's
And I'm a
March,
little tired
they
of
were
it.
organizing to disrupt the hearings
Yes.
every few minutes. And they wouldn't let Louder with Crowd, they wouldn't let our press correspondent into the hearings at all. But for those people who don't know, we do have exclusive footage of what actually went on. Yeah.
As the judge will recall, he helped me get ready for a Supreme Court argument.
Vagina! Ah! Oh, God! No! Don't touch it!
May I
Don't touch
proceed,
it!
Mr. Chairman? Yeah. As I was saying,
Canada will not sit idly by any longer when this fascism is. Oh God! I can't stop! He's so aggressive.
have announced their opposition even before he was nominated.
I noticed Phil and Ann were very confused. That's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the
Yeah.
second person. Yeah, the hat in the hat. Yeah, I realize if you follow the show as much, there's an arc. It's
an anthology.
It's multi-layered. So let me give you some examples. Conspiracy. The first conspiracy with Kavanaugh. This was that a Parkland victim's dad, Fred Gutenberg, not to be confused with Steve Gutenberg, who I'm pretty sure is dead, rushed over to Kavanaugh and tried to shake his hand during a break. And of course, this was all over the media, and it was trending on Twitter that Kavanaugh deliberately snubbed or refused to shake his hand. Here's the clip that was making the rounds.
Tonight, one moment you may have missed if you weren't watching the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation hearing closely. The father of a Parkland shooting victim says Kavanaugh refused to shake his hand.
And then people using it as a jumping off point on YouTube.
Exactly.
Like, I think this is terrible. And I'm going, hold on a second. Did you see the actual video? He was just reacting as anyone would to a total stranger, by the way. And you've been at these events. You know what it's like security-wise. Rushing in to shake his hand, security interview.
Yeah.
Here's what actually happened. Look, he's going, what? Huh? What was it? Probably not. I don't know you.
Yeah.
Moving on. You had no idea that was going to be national news for 24 hours.
This is like not a story at all. I mean, who cares?
Well, what's worse about it, keep in mind, this is a planned publicity stunt.
Yeah.
Did you know this? That Feinstein actually invited Dad to be there and said ahead of time, I have a quote, "I will be at the Kavanaugh hearings and I hope to play a role in ensuring that this man does not become the next Supreme Court justice."
Holy cow.
Does that make Feinstein a crisis actor? How does that work?
I think it definitely does.
Feinstein's a false flag, people.
Gosh, more Alex Jones. That's all we need.
No. Or Jesse Ventura.
Or Jesse, yeah.
Feinstein's been putting fluoride in your tap.
This whole thing is a charade. I mean, really. I mean, come on. It's political theater. That's all they're doing. And they're counting on the fact that we won't do our research. And most people don't. Most people look at that and go, yeah, he just snubbed the guy who lost his kid in a school shooting.
Well, this is the question. Do you think that they really believe there's this vast network of people in power who want to spit on the graves of mass shooting victims, that we don't care about dead kids? Do you think that they believe that? Or do you think that that's a narrative they want to run with to villainize us?
Well, if the only thing they ever read is the New York Times, they might actually believe it. That's the problem. You know, if their only news outlets are like CNN and New York Times, they probably do think that we're, horns and are very dangerous and sort of toxic and all of those kind of things and are capable of almost anything. Whereas the actual truth is very much the opposite. She quickly plugs, as we show in the Gosnell movie. You know, that's what they're for. You know, that's what they're for. That's the kind of stuff that they're for.
I think
that's a good point.
We call that a shameless plug.
It is a shameless.
It's not going to stop.
Did you mention the GosnellMovie.com?
I did. GosnellMovie.com.
Did I mention that I can mute your microphone? You're going to get a commercial break where everyone should obviously go check out.
Fix this in post, don't worry.
The second crazy conspiracy, and then we're gonna give you some of the biggest conspiracies from CNN that I think the most offensive at large. And I use that term not that I'm offended. It offends the intellectual sensibilities.
Yes.
But as it relates to Kavanaugh, the second one was the woman flashing white power sign. Did you see this?
Oh yeah.
During the hearing, this was everywhere.
Yeah.
This clip, I don't know how many millions.
Can I just say, Stephen? I just spent the whole time when I'm sitting here really conscious of my hands because I'm thinking, oh my God.
You never know.
Like, what am I saying? Who knows what I'm saying actually?
Yeah, people are watching like what was that town in Ireland?
Tubbercurry.
Tubbercurry.
A person from Tubbercurry.
It's a special.
I knew she was a Crip.
I'm making some kind of Tubbercurry power sign.
Yes. She's been initiated.
I think you're safe. There's not a lot of diversity in
Ireland. All right, here's the clip. This is the clip that went super. For people who didn't see it, this is the white. Go ahead, Black. This is the clip.
And the 99% and things like that I thought I ought to clear up.
I remember seeing this in my timeline going, because sometimes when you see something viral and you don't have the context, I remember watching that going, what's...
Do you know something? People really, what's very scary in the world is that some people have far too much time on their hands. I don't know if you've heard that expression. I mean, we came across that when we were making like Frack Nation, making films about the environmental movement. One thing that struck us was a lot of women involved, even though I'm a Me Too, very much Me Too.
What is this? Oh, that's hashtag.
Yeah.
Of course that's
you
hashtag.
Just
what
can't
did you think I was doing?
You just can't stop yourself from the gang symbol.
Of course I'm always that gang symbol.
And gonna give it to you. Yeah. She gonna give it to you.
But basically you find an awful lot of people in the environmental movement are people with a lot of time on their hands, an awful lot of money and an awful lot of time on their hands.
Yeah.
And you know what? They'd be better off going home and knitting, or I don't know, macrame, cook something. I don't know, do anything.
I don't even know what
or other activities.
Macrame.
I don't know what macrame is. It sounds like a crossbreed between macaroni and macrame.
Or no, maybe it's origami. Is it origami?
That's an Asian.
Embroidery.
That's out of all of our wheelhouses at this point.
Origami.
Did you find out about the woman? Did you know who she was finally? We know who Mexican, Jewish American.
Yeah.
Family Polish Jews who escaped the Holocaust.
Oh my gosh.
It doesn't like. Oh my God. She's like a walking diversity Photoshop. It's like CNN can't do research because it burns. I can't possibly. I can't. Is PubMed in the browser bar? I can't. Maybe they'll get hit by a car.
That's the news that we get today, Stephen.
Instead of recognizing that the woman was just resting her arm, what would the left, unless it's propaganda, they'd rather believe that there's some vast conspiracy of secret white supremacists in D.C. flashing white power signs in order to coordinate the racist agenda. By the way, an agenda which comprises largely of flashing white power signs. Nothing else ever actually happened.
Yeah.
Like there's Hitler was saying, okay, listen, this is what we're going to do before the final solution. Okay? You're going to sit before Parliament, and you're going to go like this. All the time. They will never see it coming.
Is this like the new NFL dances that they choreograph? Like this is what she's doing. That's what we're going to see every time. By the way, did you know that every time a three-pointer is hit in the NBA, a lot of times they hold their hand up just like that, which I guess is every black NBA player saying that they're.
And every German watching it was like, "That's the symbol for Zyklon B. I knew he was one of us." You would say something, quarter black?
Well, aren't the people that would be like for those signs? They're more for like people that straight up say I'm a racist.
Yeah.
Those people.
Yes,
like,
pretty much.
They're not for like
you have to bleep
the
yourself.
little
word. Yeah.
No, exactly.
They're like for like the little.
Yeah, they don't really disguise it.
They're not for hiding at all.
Like the white supremacists, like they have a swastika tattoo, and all of a sudden they're trying to play it cool with like, yeah, I got a swastika, but when I sign burn the Jews, I kind of hide it with my bicep.
Yes, just right there.
It's time to call these people, they're conspiracy theorists. This is what, or propagandists. These are micro examples from the Kavanaugh hearings alone. It's just the tip of the iceberg. They've engaged in this kind of behavior for years. So let's look at some of the biggest conspiracy that right now Trump mentally unfit. You've seen this everywhere. The right was we were all accused of conspiracy theories about, remember Hillary's health?
Yeah.
before 2016. Even though there were videos of the coughing fits, she was actually collapsing. We're going, hey, hold on a second. This is a woman collapsing. Roll this video so we look at this. And we were going, oh wait, what's going on there? What's happening? And the media is saying, all is well. Nothing to see here. It's like they're stabbing her in the jugular with a diazepam pen, and that's not normal, is it? What are you, a white supremacist? No. Someone help her.
It's gotta be it.
Yeah.
Is she taking her meds? Does she drink a bucket of salt water with Ron Paul? Is someone keeping an eye on her?
Nothing to see here.
But now, have you seen the running with this insane conspiracy theory about Trump being mentally unfit to be president? Here's one, of course, from, well, just see who it's from.
Look, there's so much wrong with these tweets. He even misspells the word council. And it doesn't stop there. Here are 6 of the tweets today. At one point, he's comparing Mueller to Joseph
the people at
McCarthy.
CNN misspelled the word
Look at this
council.
if you were in some other foreign capital and you'd say, is the president okay? Is he all right?
Are you okay?
Brian Stelter, how does he get a job?
From misspelling a word, is he okay? Really?
Fat, bald, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Nice.
Fat
Ad hominem? No. Stupid. Accurate. Seriously, I wonder how he gets a job. How do they pick him? How does someone have a lineup of journalists, a lineup of broadcasters, and say, that one? How much is that Brian Stelter in the window? I don't know. Don't take him home with you.
Too much. That's the
and don't feed him after midnight. This is, by the way, from CNN's reliable sources.
Right.
That's not an ironic indie rock band name.
It's the funniest name for a show I've heard on CNN.
That's what he calls it, for real. That's what he calls his show, reliable sources. Is something wrong with Donald Trump because he misspelled council? You know what? I can't confirm it. I'm pretty sure you're an asshole. I think that's something that we can all agree on. Trump mentally unfit. It's become his go-to, despite, by the way, he has zero medical training, zero medical evidence to support it. Well, what do we call that? What do we call? Is it? It's a conspiracy theory. Yeah. While the right is being deplatformed for conspiracy theories, which really means disagreement, he's allowed to go out there and say that, I don't know, Donald Trump has Parkinson's, whatever the hell it is that he says. Right. When we called Hillary's health into question, it was conspiracy, but there was actual evidence. I don't know. Does this fall into propaganda? This is a question I've been tossing. I go back and forth.
I've got a point. I think it really is propaganda. I think we're really, really close. And it doesn't take a lot of people to do this, right? It only takes a few bad actors, and then a lot of other people can come along and just kind of carry the water because they think that they're right. And they don't necessarily have a nefarious agenda. I mean, think about this. You hate to compare it,
it's
but
lazy.
In Germany, this is what happened in Nazi Germany. It didn't take a lot of people.
Look, he goes to Nazi. Look at that.
No. I go
you
to
opened the floodgates.
I did, right? Hold on. Listen, give me a second here. It doesn't.
Hold on.
It's the best example. It's the best.
You'll get no seconds.
Shut up. Shut up, you. All right, so it's the best example in history of a few people putting something out there and having it just completely run through society. Right? Yeah. It's the best example in history. That's the only reason I use it. And so when Goebbels is doing it, it doesn't take a lot of people that feel the way he feels for that to become true, because then you come along and say, well, oh yeah, the Republicans are full of conspiracy theories. If that's all you see from the media, that's what you're going to believe. And then all of a sudden, it's not about us being bad. It's about you saving the country from us. Right. And that allows you to do whatever you want. So I think it is propaganda.
Speaking of one that people actually do believe, propaganda, I certainly is the Russia, right? That's so. Previously, in decades past, Joseph McCarthy was widely accused of conspiracy theories regarding Russia. But now, I mean, you know where this goes.
Trump may not be a paid Russian agent. He may just be stupid enough, or disloyal enough, or anti-democracy enough, or just evil enough to be doing it for free.
That's what I tune in for when I want to watch GQ, a men's fashion magazine.
Is he broadcasting from a toilet or something? A men's room or something? It's like this echo, right, guys? There's like this kind of really weird echo there.
Lavatory.
And it's almost like, it's got this very sort of communist-y aesthetic, right?
Ooh. Yeah, it does.
I think that's what he was going for.
That's probably because,
is that what he's looking for?
Yeah,
okay.
That's also because he has the worker's fist up his rear. So it throws all of us off.
You need to be close to a toilet with that one, yeah.
I got you. I
want to just put you both in my back pocket and take you wherever I go.
Oh.
So I can just, every time I have a topic, I'm like, I want to make it more interesting. There's magic film and dust.
I'd be so happy, except for this is empty now.
This is empty. Well, I can't leave. I'm in the middle of hosting a show. So
I didn't think about that, but I did spot the fridge. There's a fridge over there.
There's a fridge over there, but I don't think there's any beer. I will get you some beer in a second.
What have they got? Exercise
Nothing like perpetuating the original stereotype. Look, it's like, I'm Irish.
Yeah.
I can't. It's exactly what into my veins.
Sorry, can I just say there is an awful lot of value to stereotypes, and I don't like the way that they've been spoken about. They're very valuable. Cliches are very helpful.
they are.
Save time.
They're helpful because you know what? They're true.
Yes. Also, some could potentially have prevented the famine. Russia. They did influence the election. Running a few Facebook ads, about $150,000. Let me make this really clear. There has been no proof, nothing Zero. Good day, sir. Any charges brought against Trump for collusion with Russia. Nada. There is none. Yet leftist blue checkmark Twitter, they even went as far as to claim that Kanye West, George Bush doesn't care about black people, West is probably a Russian agent because he supports Donald Trump.
That's awesome.
That's how far it goes. It's paint the umbrella of everyone who disagrees with us as a conspiracy theorist. Another one, we got to clip along here real quick because we have to get to, we have Gavin McInnes and we have the HodgeTwins. The patriarchy. This is one, there's some vast, coordinated, systematic attempt to keep women out of the top of industries and careers, right? You've seen this.
Yeah. But I think we still haven't ended patriarchy. We still haven't ended this whole idea that we're in, that
You're
somehow men dominate, men determine the agenda, men have the authority, and women come later. And I think violence is the mechanism which keeps patriarchy in its place.
What?
Who is she? What's wrong with her?
What happened to her? It's kind of crazy.
What happened to her in her childhood?
Freud doesn't even have a form for this.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's a theory that relies on a bunch of sub-conspiracies that have been debunked, like the wage gap. It also ignores massive amounts of statistics that contradict it. And again, this is key to conspiracies, right? You always go, well, the Earth is flat. Well, hold on, why is the Earth flat? Because if you go up in a helicopter and then you don't basically land in Phoenix, it's not round.
Right.
What are you talking about? Volcanoes! What? What's happening, right? This is what they do. And they ignore all of the evidence to the contrary. So with women, of course, far more successful than men in college, education in general. They dominate certain industries like healthcare. Again, if it's patriarchy, it's not very effective. If it were a patriarchy, we wouldn't allow that haircut. Right? No. If we made the rules, we
wouldn't allow her on the TV
We wouldn't allow her on television.
She wouldn't be anywhere near it.
It'd be nothing but Cindy Crawford and Christy Brinkley 24/7. That's it. Elle McPherson, when she plays her cards right. Another conspiracy, privilege. This is another one. I think this is genuinely, just like the patriarchy, the claim that everything is based on oppression. No data for this. It's preached as gospel truth on networks like CNN.
Do you agree that there is such a thing?
Aged since then. Have you seen Lemon recently?
As white privilege.
She won't watch Lemon.
I can't. Of course it's real, and I'm white, and I have it. I can walk in the street in New York City and put my hand out, and no taxi will pass me by.
That's not true.
What? Yeah. I've had that happen many times. Are you greasing the taxis?
Hang on, the second guy's black, is he?
No, the second guy is not. The second guy's white.
Then sorry, what did he say?
He was saying no one passes me by. In other words, I can get any cab I want as a white person.
Yes.
And that was before Don Lemon looked like dead Johnny Mathis.
Yeah.
I think taxi drivers are kind of jerks to everyone. So.
Yeah. But guess who hates Uber?
Equal opportunity jerks. Yeah, they're my favorite.
Guess who hates the sharing economy? The sharing economy. The socialists like Cortez and Bernie. Yeah, you figure that one out. Let me know when you solve the writing on the wall, the equation, beautiful mind, and the numbers add up. Because I can't find it. The idea that cisgender, heterosexual men, no matter how poor or unprivileged, we have access to everything we could possibly want. But people of color, women, LGBTQAAIP, and a silent number 2, no matter how rich and successful, are somehow still the victims of oppression. This is the premise of it. It doesn't matter that studies, again, evidence to the contrary, showing cops are not more likely, in fact, to shoot blacks than white people. Or that men actually suffer from the overwhelming majority of workplace injuries, deaths, and suicide. Not women. They never mention this. So we have these ideas out there of these vast networks of, what do we have? Patriarchy, privilege, Russian oligarchs controlling our society behind the scenes. Did I miss something? Was it Russian prostitutes peeing on the Formica while Donald Trump takes a video with the Samsung Galaxy? They all fit the most basic dictionary definition of conspiracy theory. But here's the ultimate irony to me. The actual powerful conspirators, if you look at the definition, are the ones deliberately posing these conspiracies to the public, presenting them as fact while condemning anyone who disagrees with them as the conspiracy theorists themselves. So what is it? Is the leftist media just filled to the brim with conspiracy theorists or propagandists? It has to be one or the other. And here's something, if they're just professional propagandists, as I think is the case with some of these, like Russia, for example, what does that say about all the folks they label conspiracy theorists and then systematically deplatform and ban? Is it paranoid to think that the media is incredibly biased, for example, and dishonest in the facts that they choose to present and the facts they choose to omit? If that's the case, guess what? Everyone in here, everyone watching or listening needs to be fitted for your tinfoil hats. Gavin McInnes will be up after this. I'm pretty sure he already has one.
He does.
Yeah. It's rough.
Greetings, America. Hopper here, telling you to not be afraid to try something new. Like me in the pool. I used to be scared of it, but once I came in with Boy Human, I realized it's not so bad. And I can actually cool down when it's hot in the summertime. Oh, Baba, stop petting me. Okay. But it's like many of you out there with Mug Club. You may think it's expensive, but $69 a year for students, veterans, but You should join. It's worth it. Totally worth it.
When was this a good fighting stance?
Like the 1920s?
No idea. I have no idea. When they said the fighting Irish, no, that's the losing Irish. If you fight this way, I was just watching an old Jack Dempsey fight. It was considered the most brutal beating in history. I can't remember who his opponent was. Tweet me at _credit if you remember exactly who it was. The guy was 60 pounds heavier, and it was like watching a modern boxer versus an old timey boxer like this. And he just beat the hell out of him. Jack Dempsey, really brilliant guy. Really, a guy who was very. He was very conscientious. He's very intellectual in the way he approached the fight game. He has some books out that are worth reading. And also, just like in his book, he'll be like, don't do this. That's what sissies do. That's just what they wrote about in the books back then. They had no concern for it whatsoever. You can follow our next guest, as long as he's still out, of course, at Gavin_McInnes. Get Off My Lawn is a program on CRTV available to Mug Club members. You can go sign up anywhere. CRTV, Mug Club, whatever your preference is. Gavin, how are you, sir?
I am great, and I'm reading Jack Dempsey's autobiography right now.
Really? So do you know who the guy I'm talking?
What are the odds? And so Jack Dempsey's mother was obsessed with John R. Sullivan, the late 19th century boxer, and he was this guy. Yeah. And Jack is the guy who changed all that and came up with like body blows and combinations. And he's the one who ended this stupid fighting Irish stand.
He really did. And he ended it very brutally. Do you remember the name of the opponent that I'm talking about? The guy who he defeated for the heavyweight title? I can't remember, but man.
His name was Fatty Buster Blood Vessel.
Yes, exactly, something like that. Have you seen the fight?
No, I mean I've watched a lot of his old fights on YouTube, which is what inspired me to get the book. I don't remember that particular fight, but there is a colloquialism or a saying that he got from his grandfather, and it's the weirdest one I've ever heard. It's never hit a cripple and don't go to bed with a fool.
Yeah, exactly. Also, methamphetamine ruins your teeth. It seems as though he's just kind of picking some random statements. But it is, I haven't read the autobiography yet. I've read his boxing books, but it seems like it'd be worthwhile reading. I've read a lot of his old articles. Very eloquent guy, very insightful. Have you ever thought about this? This is completely unrelated. Have you ever thought, like when you were a kid, did you ever daydream and think, man, if I could go back to like the Revolutionary War or the Civil War days, but just travel in a time machine with an M16 burst fire rifle and some hand grenades, there would be a monument in my name. I'd be a national hero. Have you ever thought that as a kid?
No, I don't want to do that because I don't want to have the butterfly effect. Now, I might want to go back as a ghost just so I can get a good look at it.
You can look.
But that's just being on an HBO set or a Gangs of New York set.
Yes.
If I could genuinely go back in time, I would go see bands before they were famous, like the Sex Pistols at the 100 Club and early The Who and stuff. I don't care. I don't want to mess with history.
That sounds far less consequential than what I would do. But the point is, it's very similar when you watch Jack Dempsey. It's like somebody going back in time with modern artillery. He was so advanced for his time. Like you said, they're coming in like this, and he's doing the shoulder roll, the Dempsey roll. It's fascinating. Anyway, okay, completely unrelated. Speaking of conflict, what's been your take on the confirmation hearings? Obviously, with Kavanaugh this week and the vagina hat protesters right now. It's been really hard to watch. I was in Los Angeles, so I had CNN on, like an old person, 24 hours, just watching it, and it was about maybe every 6 minutes someone was screaming something out.
Yeah, did you see the picture going around of one of the women getting paid? They've got some guy with a big envelope, a manila folder, and he's handing her $200.
No, I haven't seen that picture. I know the lady who they accused of we just talked about, accused of doing the white power symbols was Jewish. She was just resting her hand. She was just resting her hands.
Yeah, she's resting her hand like that. Her parents escaped the Holocaust. They fled Poland, and she's Mexican. And yeah, they also say she got a text. Like the text said, "All right, sister, it's time." Yeah. And then some slogan like "blood and soil," and then she goes, "All right, here we go." Ooh. We're at the point now where I'm scared of them. Like there's one thing to be scared of, a Tony Soprano and a Jack Dempsey who's going to beat you up. That's the normal scared.
Right.
But I'm scared of the weak now. I'm scared of when Trump gets reelected. I don't want to. I might be on a boat when that election happens because they're totally erratic.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I was just talking about this with Ben Shapiro the other day. It's the weak who hurt you. This is now, strong people can become evil. Strong people can become bullies. But There is no possibility to be weak and be generous. There is no possibility to be weak and compassionate. Think of anyone in your life who's ever betrayed you, stabbed you in the back. Was it the strong, blunt person who's a little bit tough to deal with, but gets things done? Or was it the weak person who was always looking for an excuse? The weak are the ones who hurt you. And yeah, that turns into a mob mentality. I'm genuinely concerned if there is that bounce back because they're violent.
By the way, jocks don't rape. We were sort of raised to think of the evil frats and the jocks. Those guys just get laid on the free market of being attractive. It's the beta male comedians that are molesting girls when they're asleep.
Yeah.
And it took me like 45 years to learn this fact. And that's why, by the way, that the Duke lacrosse thing or the West Virginia, whatever it was, Virginia Tech thing, were so eagerly pursued.
UVA, yeah.
Writers like Sabrina Erdely, they go, oh, good, you got a big, strong, broad-shouldered blonde man with a letter on his jacket raping girls in a coffee table that's smashed. I love it. Let's go. I don't care what the truth is.
Right.
But the truth is, as you say, it's the weak that are in there like little rats, like chewing at your ankles.
Yeah, and this is where, do you think that these are conspiracy? We just did a whole segment about conspiracy theories versus propaganda. Do you think that the Russia deal, do you think that's a conspiracy that they're trying to get to the bottom of, or do you think it's just propaganda? With this, do you think it was a conspiracy that white supremacy, or do you think it's just propaganda that they knew this was? How long did it take their research department to find out this girl was Jewish and descendants of Holocaust survivors? Sometimes I go, the left is the umbrella of conspiracy theories as opposed to the right. You have fringe right people, but sometimes you go, hold on a second, a conspiracy theory has to involve people who are pulling the strings. They're pulling the strings. They are the ones in charge of the media. It's like inception of propaganda versus conspiracy theory. Your thoughts?
Yes, that's become the only interesting question left with these lunatics, is how much do they believe their own hyperbole? And Ezra Levant says, no, they know it's all a lie, it's all an act, it's just trying to win. I disagree. I think they genuinely believe that there was a whole ordeal with the text and everything. I believe that they believe that the Russians hacked the election, that Trump has prostitutes. Tom Arnold has a show on Vice called Show Me the Tapes. They're so positive there is a tape of prostitutes doing disgusting things with urine, as my dad pronounces it, that it's just a matter of time before we all see the tapes.
I love how he takes it. He makes it sound like it's from the elemental chart. Yes, there's a symbol for urine.
You too.
Yeah, it is incredible. We were just talking about this as well. Like, okay, let's say this were a white supremacist. This is to advance the white supremacist agenda. By the way, let me be really clear. Completely condemn the white supremacist agenda, okay? They've gone after me, and Charles Hermes at UT Arlington used the fake memes and fake swastika tattoos to try and get us banned from SMU. I'm no fan of white supremacy. That being said, have you noticed when they say it's a dog whistle for their agenda? The agenda is primarily to create more dog whistles, like, oh, she gave a symbol, and that leads to another symbol. What is it? What was she going to do? If she crosses her arms this way, and another Holocaust. I don't understand the end game that they think there is.
The end game is all these people get together, and when they're in all the right spots, they sort of go, ready? Now! Sort of like Animal House when the hands go and come apart and we see it's the Deathmobile.
Yes.
So they think there's a Deathmobile lurking, and that Deathmobile is the Fourth Reich, full-on Nazis, grabbing not just Jews and blacks out of their homes and sending them into, I don't know who is allowing for these trains, I don't know who allows for these concentration camps, but also they've included trans, gays, and the disabled. Yeah. Like they're seriously saying, I stand by my disabled students. For what? When the Gestapo comes to take little kids in wheelchairs away to death camps? I mean, it's so ridiculous. It's beyond flat earthers. Sometimes I talk to flat earthers and I go, yeah, I mean, that's wrong, but I see where you're coming from.
There you go. That's wrong, but I don't necessarily have the science with me right now. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a scientist on my show who spent months debunking them, and it was kind of hard because a lot of them have really worked hard on this theory. So it's not that easy to debunk. But the idea that there's going to be all this national cohesion with infinite genocide where they kill every basically non-healthy white person in the entire country is totally bananas. And they go, well, it happened in Germany. Yeah, lots of things have happened in the past, and those people were obliterated. You know what else happened in the past? Communism seeped in and led to 100 times the deaths that literally Hitler committed.
And literally Hitler also, by the way, was socialist. They like to say, well, National Socialist. It doesn't matter if it's National Socialist or Democratic Socialist. Democratic Socialism becomes National Socialism because it's the national identity voting in their interest. Someone said this recently, said, you're just mad because we're coming for that. We're coming for your cheddar, talking about Octavia Pintanina Santa Maria Cortez, saying, we're coming for your cheddar. Now, I will say, I'm relatively wealthy now this last year. I'm not rich, but I'm pretty grateful for where I am. I don't see any need to be ashamed for it, and a lot of people make a good living. But I'm going, hold on a second, wait, coming for that cheddar? You're coming for the cheddar for people who employ dozens, for people who've created multiple six-figure incomes for other employees? Not to mention, you're not coming for anything, because guess what? When these socialist revolutionaries try to come for the cheddar, we're just going to pay their friends more than them to protect us. I don't think they thought it through.
I don't think they know how much cheddar we already pay. My education tax just to live here is tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But the way they talk about this white power stuff again and again and again, and outside of like some crazy little cottage in a hill in the Appalachian Mountains somewhere. Imagine just anyone across the country, Texas, anywhere. They're sitting at a dinner party and you're meeting a new guy. It's like your cousin's new boyfriend or whatever. Like, so what are you about? And he's like, oh, I hate blacks and I obviously hate the Jews. And I'm hoping we can sort of get a thing going where we round them up and, burn them, gas them. I don't even care what, throw them in a big hole. Everyone at the table would just be going,
Also, that kid on crutches.
Oh, white supremacy. What?
Also, that kid on crutches. Yeah, I'd like to do him too.
Also trans people, of course, and the disabled. Like, no one would go, oh, so that's what you're about. Oh, I've heard a lot about you guys. Apparently, you're in the White House and stuff. Oh,
Yeah, he's one of us. We have a dog whistle. It's like we have a bat signal. It's just a toupee and a pair of orange teeth. It really is crazy. And then this is, of course, used to justify acts of violence. And justify, if you actually look at Kavanaugh and you look at his history, I can't remember who it was who was interviewing him, but it was a conservative Republican who was unhappy with the fact that he actually was part of a case that said you couldn't voluntarily pray before, I think, football games. Something along the lines where it didn't side with Christians. And as a matter of fact, it could be interpreted that this case law sided against voluntary religious liberty on campus. And I don't think people realize how moderate in a lot of ways Kavanaugh is. It doesn't matter anymore. I think that's what the right needs to understand. It doesn't matter if you're Kavanaugh. It doesn't matter if you're Trump. It doesn't matter if you're Ted Cruz. They're coming after you. All right.
He never said he was against Roe v. Wade. He said, that's the precedent. I have to follow the law. And the other part about that is, why is that a feminist issue? About 50% of women are pro-life. So I don't understand what the hell these feminists are screaming about. He never said he was going to overturn it. And it's not a woman thing. It's an ethics thing that most women are, or at least half women are against.
Yeah. Well, I think you probably find about the same statistics regarding murder from men and women. Probably an even split.
What do you mean?
I mean, most of them would be against murder, whether they're male or female, penis or vagina. I'm like, I'm not a fan of murder. So all it takes is showing them the fetal chart. It's like,
yeah, we tried it. We tried it back in the cave days. It doesn't pan out well.
Yeah, it doesn't pan out well. No, it is remote. We had a Naomi Wolf on the show, and she said, she was talking about abortion. Well, respectfully, as a man, I said, okay, how about my wife? She volunteers every week, several days a week at a crisis pregnancy center. Do you? She disagrees with you. You want me to bring her out here? No, I'm afraid of strong women. It really is remarkable how weak these women are, these feminists, these people who go out. Now, do you have a protester in mind who sticks out at you with the Kavanaugh hearings?
Yeah. Her name is Linda Cockroach, which in Arabic is Linda Sarsour. She's wearing a hijab. If you have a hijab on, you are traditionalist Muslim, you're a devout Muslim, you're pro-Sharia law. 0% of those people are pro-choice. You cannot be for abortion and a devout Muslim. That's not the way it works. It's like someone dressed up in Amish gear saying, we're fighting for the right to choose. It doesn't make sense. It's such an obvious flim-flam. Right there, right in front of your eyes. She's got the hijab on. It's all right there. And they just go, I'm falling for it because I like the enemy of my enemy.
Yes. That's a good comparison. It's a scene that I missed from Witness. I know you are and hands off my vagina. All right, we do have to get going. It is Get Off My Lawn at CRTV. Hey, by the way, have you been reinstated? What's the Twitter situation?
I'm banned for life.
Oh, I'm sorry, and I plugged that right off the bat. I thought because Jack Dorsey was bringing some people back, you were amongst them. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to rub any salt in it. So get off my lawn at CRTV. Where's the other best place people can find you?
That's the only place I've been sequestered, painted into a corner.
Well, then everyone,
I'm alone here.
Join up. CRTV, go watch it. We have to go, Gavin. We have HodgeTwins next.
Okay, here we go.
Healthy woman goes into a abortion clinic, comes out dead, and there's no police report.
The prosecution has offered you a plea bargain, Dr. Gosnell.
I'm not guilty.
There's nothing that man did that protects women.
You better win.
Gosnell, rated PG-13.
Oh, bother. The couch cushions have me again. Oh, bother. Are you just gonna look at me like that? Oh, bother.
Help Hopper escape the sofa cushion cracks. Join Mug Club today. It's his only chance. Jean-Luc Picard thought he was gay.
Yeah.
He's not.
I thought so.
Also, if you wouldn't know our next guest, you'd roll the dice. Good-looking guys, twins. A lot of people are into that. They could clean up at the Folsom Street Fair, but they are lovely gentlemen. They are married. They're actually, I believe they're straight, as far as I understand. You never know. Joe Weider might be hiding in their closet somewhere. You can follow them at HodgeTwins on the Twitter. HodgeTwinsTour.com. You've got some upcoming dates in Salt Lake City, Southern California, Kansas, Denver, Texas, Florida. HodgeTwins, how are you, gentlemen?
Oh, man, we doing great, man. Yeah, we just made a move to Vegas, man. Yeah, that was expensive.
I can imagine expensive. Now, what was the move to Vegas? Taxes?
Yeah, I mean, being self-employed, those state taxes. Federal is enough, but then the state taxes take our money. So I was like, man, we got to cut back some places. This damn big government, man. They take all your money, man.
It sounds to me like each time you visit the program, you're more conservative, if not also more increasingly afraid of dogs.
I used to lean right, but now I just jumped off the cliff.
Would you say that's a more recent, like in the last year and a half? Because I remember the first time you were on the show, you were saying, yeah, you had been kind of watching some of our stuff in Shapiro, and now it seems like, you moved across the country because you were pissed off at taxes. That's a contrast.
Yeah, I look at Fox News all the time now. Yeah, man. I forgot all about CNN. I'm a straight Uncle Tom now.
You're watching Fox News. You already have a reverse mortgage in Vegas and a pocket full of gold. Let me ask you this. While we're talking about this, you guys obviously served in our military. We've talked about that. Yeah. Thank you very much. Colin Kaepernick is back in the news with Nike. We know the whole kneeling issue. There's so many angles here, though. But what's your take on this position, and especially Nike? There are a lot of parallels there. You guys obviously work in the fitness industry. Nike, they work in fitness, sports. Is it just a blind spot? I would imagine that jocks, people who are purchasing Nike or supplements, they're not super interested in someone taking a political stand against the country.
Right. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know why Nike did that. It makes no sense. You learn that the first day you take business course. You don't shoot yourself in the foot like that. Yeah, and it's like, since when does Nike pointing out oppression? They got all these little kids and all these sweatshops. Yeah. Doing that, and yeah, they don't even pay the kids. They pay them in top ramen.
Yeah.
We're going to start you off with 2 bags of ramen a week.
Right.
That's not bad. 90 days after you pass your probationary period, we'll throw in an extra pack for you.
But I have a full brother and sister. Just do it, Ming. Just do it.
Jordans.
I don't understand it. I'm wondering if there's something that I'm missing, and unfortunately, you can't probably provide insight because you're Uncle Tom, right-leaning African Americans. But do you think a lot of Black Americans are going, I'm looking for sporting apparel. I'm going to purchase the one with the guy who kneeled for the anthem. That's the deal breaker for me.
That's exactly what they're gonna do.
Yeah, is that what they're gonna do?
Telling you heard it here first.
Well, then you just need to start.
You know what's crazy? The reason why I think it's the way, because, Black people have been mistreated in the past, right?
Sure.
So that's made them racist. And then when I'm serious. And then when they look at the CNN, they look at MSNBC, just like, man, we never gonna have nothing here. Yeah. Man, I'm gonna just, whatever I can do it to Whitey, I'm gonna do it.
Burn down a Walgreens or something. That's the next logical step.
Yeah. Well, they got it halfway right with that campaign. They messed up one word. They said just do it. They're supposed to say just suck it.
Yeah. I don't even. He's not even.
bleep that?
No, I don't think we need to bleep that. That's totally fine. It is bizarre to me that they made this pick for someone who's not. I don't know a ton about him. Not a very active quarterback, as far as I understand it.
I entirely agree.
Yeah. And what has he lost? He hasn't sacrificed anything. Yeah. He got paid millions of dollars. How much money are they paying him to do this ad? Yeah. You know what I mean? They forgot all about the socks with the pig socks and the Fidel Castro shirt. I mean, it don't make no sense. If Nike was really interested in doing this campaign the right way, they would have did it when that guy from the Cardinals. He dropped his $1 million, multi-million dollar football player. He was offered a multi-million-dollar contract for years.
Yeah.
He said, I'm going to do something about my life. I'm going to do something for my country. And he ended up getting killed a year later. Yeah, all Kaepernick did is divided the country. Yeah. And he gets, if they say Trump is divisive, you got to say Kaepernick's divisive too.
Well, it's the exact opposite. You know, Rosa Parks united the country by sitting down at the different space in the bus, and Colin Kaepernick just took a knee. He didn't even take a seat. He just took a knee. I mean, I think he just got the wrong message and thought, oh, I get it. Revolutionaries sit down. Like, no, Colin. There's another component to this. I think you're missing the fundamental issue. Yeah, you guys could do that with it. You sell a lot of merch. What's your merch store again?
It's at official HodgeTwins.com.
Yeah, so you guys have a pre-workout supplement. You have some pretty cool sweatpants and fitness gear there. What you should do is market it with Antifa members as models, and you get a corner on the market. Just a picture of someone in your sweatpants, turning over a cop car, written like the J. Peterman catalog. Perfect for those heated summer nights in Baltimore. It's a thought. It's just a thought. Let me ask you this. You guys were talking about this recently. You just released a rant, I think a whole video on this, as long as it's allowed. Drag queen story time for kindergartners. I wasn't aware of this, and usually I'm on top of this, but I've been traveling quite a bit. What's got the two of you all upset?
Oh, like drag queens. No.
You and DMX.
I would say, you know what? I'll go as far as, okay, you can read to the kids, but you ain't gonna teach my damn kid how to be no damn drag queen. Yeah. You're supposed to be reading Three Little Pigs and Big Bad Wolf. And you talking about my kid? I wish my kid would come on talking about, hey, daddy, I'm gonna be a drag queen superhero.
I want to get to know RuPaul. Yeah, it is bizarre that this is what they're teaching you. So this is a story for kids, just drag queen. I would imagine that doesn't go over very well in the black community. I was listening to DMX the other day. Just earlier, very, very homophobic. I'll grant you that, because he actually talks about, like, if we squashing beef, I ain't shaking your hand. Talking about because they're gay. I'm like, oh, you won't shake their hand just because they're gay. But here's what's so funny to me. MFer, N-word, talking about, killing people. And now, even on Spotify, even on the explicit version, do you know what they bleep? Everything else is allowed. DMX, but that's the word you don't hear on the DMX versions.
Off limits.
That's a fact in the black community. They are homophobic, big time. Yeah, big time.
It's very rare that when you meet like a very flamboyant gay black man, and I always wonder, like, who are your friends?
He's not hanging around a bunch of niggas.
Well,
He's been up like Lion King. He's been sitting outside the Pride Lands.
Yes, yeah, I can imagine. Everything the feminist green hair touches is now your kingdom, but this is ours. We're going to send you to the elephant boneyard of Antifa members. Okay, so now you do have kids. Did they come home and have to learn a drag queen story time? Is that the name of the story?
Oh, hell no. It was some kind of campaign. It was going across New York and California, where they was going to introduce kids to, I guess, an alternative lifestyle, and they was going to read stories to them. It started off just reading stories, but then it turned into, I'm going to teach your kid how to be a drag queen, just like me. Hey, kids, do you know what a drag queen is?
Well, I think you might be mistaken. It was actually about transgenderism, which is, this is your homophobia is showing. A drag queen is not transgender. They're very different. A drag queen dresses up like a woman, even though they're a man, or it could be the other way, but usually a man dressing up like a woman. A transgender is a man who dresses up like a woman, but says he's a woman.
Yeah, straight she-male.
No, that's transsexual. But that's...
what's the between a cross-dresser and the drag queen?
A whole other thing.
That's the whole deal. It's very hard. It used to be transsexual. They'd gone through the surgery, right? So these were actual clinical terms. Okay, you're a transsexual, you've gone through the surgery, the hormone replacement, but most transgenders now don't do it. They just dress in women. A lot of them don't do the hormones. A lot of them don't even get the top surgery. 90-something% don't get the bottom surgery. So I'm always confused. I'm like, are you a drag queen? Or like, no, I think I'm a woman. Oh, well, that settles it.
You could call it lazy.
If they look like me with a wig and a dress on, that's a drag queen, right? Cross-dresser.
Yes.
They can actually pass for a woman. Straight she-male.
I don't.
Well, ain't that she-male? No, is it? That's like a compliment.
Well, you know who it ultimately hurts are big women, because they're never given the benefit of the doubt anymore. You know, if you see a big woman, think of it honestly, if you see a big woman now with wide shoulders, there's that little flicker in the back of your mind going, is she? And don't ask her pronouns. She's not going to be happy with it. That's the problem. All of this makes it worse. You so divided. All right, how do you want to leave this, you two stud muffins?
Oh. Just suck it to Nike.
Do you have any Nike? Is that gone from your house now?
Yeah, I ain't got no Nikes. I'm going straight New Balance.
You're gonna be wearing.
I'll wear some Reeboks.
I can't picture anything less black than New Balance. I picture Steven Spielberg wearing them in a director's chair.
Yeah.
Not you guys. Maybe a couple of guys in the CrossFit games. I have no idea. I do have some Reebok shoes. Can I say this on here? They're terrible. I have some Reebok boxing shoes, and the soles came apart within 2 months. Gone. I'm astounded they got a UFC contract. All right, well, we now know who won't be a sponsor to this program. It is, I believe, HodgeTwinsTour.com. Where are you going to be next, boys?
Next week we'll be in Salt Lake City, San Diego, California, Brea, California, Irvine, California.
You have a lot of fans in Salt Lake City. That was where, remember when we thwarted Antifa wanting to stab Ben Shapiro? You guys were there. We missed your show because we were dealing with the FBI. But I thought it was all white Mormons. You have a lot of white Mormon fans?
It was a white crowd there. Yeah.
Some white
Niggas ain't trying to our shows are white. Yeah. There's a couple niggas sprinkled in, but they got white girlfriends. Conservatives.
I love how that won't be bleeped, but if you use the word that will. So, you know, we'll keep just keep it in mind for your next mixtape. HodgeTwinsTour.com, and of course at HodgeTwins on the Twitter. Hey guys, always great. We're gonna have you back here hopefully in third chair soon in studio, but we gotta go and wrap this up.
There it is again, so strong.
This town ain't big enough for the two of us. Actually, as a matter of fact, geographically, there is physical room for... I've had enough of your asbestos-laden smug talk. Fill your tumbler, you son of a... Louder with Crowder Studios. Protected exclusively by Walther.
And Hopper. That's called the attempting to be sexy, and only increasing the speed of your drowning. You do when did this become sexy? By the way, the holding the lip,
and get the
biting the finger. It's not sexy to me at all.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, ew.
Where have your fingernails been? Especially, you know, if it's usually modeling, shooting a New York subway. Some guy in a trench coat. Do you have any idea? I saw Death Wish 2. This is terrible. Terrible. Someone's going to say Death Wish 2 was in L.A. Shut up. Very grateful, by the way, Gavin McInnes for being on the program. Sorry to Senator Ted Cruz. Obviously, he's pretty busy. I think we're going to be having him on next week. And the Hodge Twins. And next week's schedule, I don't know exactly what it looks like because we're gearing up for one of the biggest Crowder confronts ever and some big change my minds. And I know a lot of people saying, well, we changed my mind because we did it in front of the White House. And something else I should tell you too. I'm doing a show with Ben Shapiro, the Sunday chat show for the whole hour. Prager Fireside Chat, a PragerU video coming out. And by the way, the Socialism is for Figs shirt. Do not purchase it. Do not put it up on Instagram because it has been banned as hate speech from Instagram. So don't go out there and scramble to buy this because we are discontinuing it, meaning that it's in limited supply. Don't do any of those things. Do not support the program by joining Mug Club or buying the shirt that Instagram does not want you to have. Because unless you want to be super cool and doomed to a life of success.
Yeah.
I just figured I'd let that ride. Well, thank you very much. Something I wanted to talk about, because I was actually talking with Ben Shapiro about this recently when we were speaking on the phone. You hear this a lot. You hear right now when we were talking about CNN and we were talking about kind of what's been going on with Kavanaugh. We've been talking for a long time, obviously, about Antifa and Black Lives Matter. And you hear people often complaining, saying, well, someone has to do something. Right? We hear that all the time. Someone has to do something. He was asking me, we do this kind of pre-interview, and he was asking me about this show and what it was that inspired me to do this show. This show is the result of someone has to do something. Let me explain what that means. And this was important because I have an email recently from someone from the YAF conference, and I appreciate the email that you've sent. By the way, life advice at loudwithcrowder.com. We'll be doing a whole episode with nothing but life advice that you probably won't want. But I remember a time when every conservative I knew, including myself, about how there was no conservative late. They're like, where's the conservative late night? Where's the answer to the Daily Show? You still often hear it, right, from people who watch cable news. How the left has a stranglehold on comedy. Everyone kept saying that we needed someone's got to do something. And I remember pitching this program. Now, whether you like it or not, this is not the point, whether you enjoy the program or not. I know many of you do not, but you're here anyway, and I appreciate you suffering through it with us. I really do. Sometimes I wonder why you watch, but I appreciate it. I pitched this show day in and day out at Fox News for 4.5 years and was told that it would never work. This very show, what you know also, by the way, has changed my mind, was turned down by, I think, every major conservative publisher. Everyone, all the ones that I can think of. There might be a few that didn't, so I don't want to drag anyone through the mud who wasn't involved. But at a conference table, the phrase, conservatives don't like comedy, they only want Obama doomsday books right now, were actually spoken.
Surprising.
So I think this is important because we often, someone's got to do something. We have people even come up after the show, like, what do I with CNN with my friends? Someone's got to do something. And I don't want to point to anyone specifically. We're hiring, right? And you can go to loudwithcrowder.com to see we're hiring, we're moving to new spaces, expanding all the time. There were some people when we were hiring, very good people, but you know this, they effectively just wanted to take part. We have like an 80% dropout rate. They just wanted to come and kind of work. This isn't for you. This is the kind of place where you do whatever it takes. You grind until it's done because what? Because somebody has to do something. It applies both ways. If we stop doing this show, there's no one to carry the mantle right now. There's no one else. There's no one else who's going to provide this. And we keep going. We keep putting ourselves through something that obviously the ringer. It's very difficult, and we're getting more people coming in to do the program. I was talking with Ben about this. They have much more staff than we do, but we do it because someone has to do something. This is us doing something. You know why people can't stand complainers? And this is the someone has to do something. The person who just sits idly by and says this. And believe me, I'm going to tie this into a way that's hopefully helpful. It will be helpful if you have ears to hear. You know why people can't stand complainers? It's not just because they're annoying. But they are. It's because in complainers, we see weakness. And in weakness, we see untrustworthiness. We see betrayal. The left loves to vilify. I was just talking about this with Gavin McInnes, and this was what kind of spurred this. I was just talking with the left. They love to vilify the strong as toxic. Let me ask you, how many times have you been betrayed in your life by a strong man or a strong woman? How many times have you been backstabbed by the person with a backbone? The person who may be a little bit tough to deal with, might be a little bit brash, might be a little bit blunt, but gets things done. How many times have they screwed you over? Think about it genuinely. No, it's the weak among us who hurt us. And we see weakness in complainers. Someone who's about how things shouldn't be so. Oh, I can't believe that things are this way. You and I, we all subconsciously say, oh, so you're not doing anything to change that it's so. They're just waiting for somebody. Somebody has to do something. That's inaction. And inaction is a decision. Someone's got to do something. We hear that all the time. Stop being the person who says that. Be the person who does something. And let me tell you something. And as an employer, because what I'm about to tell you applies to anyone in your life whose respect is needed to be earned at all, or is worth earning. If there's anyone whose respect you need to earn or you think is worth earning, this applies to you. As an employer, the most valuable person to me is a guy who comes to me with solutions to problems that I didn't even know existed yet. The most valuable, the MVP is the guy or girl who says, I noticed this wasn't working properly, or I noticed that this could be made more efficient, and I thought we could fix it through ABC or XYZ. I do have your permission to do so. I am the person looking to give you more money. Are you man enough to take it? That's the person employers are looking to promote, and it applies to every aspect of your life, from your work to your relationships to your marriage to your finances. You know who the least valuable person is in a company? It's the person who says problem, 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 and doesn't give you any solutions. And months down the line, still no solutions. Because anyone can find a problem. But when it comes to fixing it, by God, somebody has to do something. Well, could that somebody be you? No. Somebody. I mean, somebody in the abstract. Somebody finds a way. And these people do this because the person who is trying to do something. Also, this is another important component to the whole. Someone's got to do something. The person who is trying to do something, if you become that person, most of you aren't, by the way, will inevitably fail. That's a part of being the person who does something. You know who never fails? The person who sits by and says, someone has to do something. Will someone please think of the children? How about you think of the children? Someone has to do something. And then they can sit by and find more problems and point to the failures of the people who are doing something. But in the long run, they're not the ones helping you, providing solutions. Not only are these people less valuable in an employment situation, they cease to be valuable to anyone in their life. You know, the problem finders. Someone has to do something, guys. Eventually, they find themselves, or herself, cast out from workplace, society, marriage, their friends. Sure, they might band together like we were talking about with Gavin, McInnes, and a few others. Somebody got to do something, guys, for a bit, make themselves feel big, a mob mentality, but that crumbles. Back to the individual do something guy. The guy who says, I can do X, Y, I can do this. I can do A, B, and C to fix the problem. Right now, do I have your permission? That's the person I'm looking for in a company when we're hiring. And you know what? So is everyone else. It's not just about, that's the person your employer's looking to promote. That's the person your friends are looking for in a true friend. That's the person your wife is looking for in a husband. That's the person you're probably looking for in a wife. That's the person your kid's looking for in a dad. That's also the person God's looking for in a disciple. Oh, did I strike a nerve? Did I strike a nerve with all the nobility and poverty, pious, fake Christians? Everyone whose respect is worth earning is looking to bestow their best, their blessing upon the man who does something, period. And I will tell you this, I was not that person for a very long time. Grateful for the opportunity, I sat at the foot of Fox News for years and put on my stupid little polos and jackets and hoped that at some point someone would do something. And I was a fool. And no, listen, this isn't the Tonight Show. I get it. I'm no Johnny Carson, but you know, we've achieved some relative success, and that's entirely because of you. It could all go away tomorrow. I'm incredibly grateful. And guess what? It's a whole lot more success than I had with any original show at 21 or 22 or 23 years old, hoping that someone would do something, hoping that someone would publish, look, I've got this treatment for the Change My Mind book. No, someone has to do this. What we are doing is the something I wish someone had done. That's all I can do. I can't do any better than that. We created a show. We did Change My Mind. And I was talking with Dennis Prager about this as well. I said, we did this because we all sat around saying the conversations that we have when we go get our hairs cut, the conversations that we have that have gotten us, unfortunately, 3.5-star ratings at Uber. You never see on air. It's not about scoring political points. That's what Change My Mind was. It was someone has to do something. And I know that at least millions of you have benefited. Again, it could all go away tomorrow. I'm very grateful. The reason this show exists at me being 31 years old, that I was hoping to see when I was 21 years old, is because I stopped at one point saying, someone's got to do something. So the question I most often get, and we'll do this life advice for people who are Mug Club members, but can be answered really simply with this. as a starting point. Often the questions are, how do I do this? Or how do I get started with this? Or, hey, this is happening at school. How do I fix this? Or someone sees me this way. It's usually the same answer. If you find yourself saying about your relationships, about your work life, about your finances, about what you'd like to see even in society at large, if you find yourself saying someone has to do something, stop. Stop saying it. Because 9 times out of 10, that person has to be you, or it won't happen. End of story. I'm talking to everyone out there, conservatives in the entertainment industry, in academia, on politicized science, grants maybe, high-profile athletes. No one is going to do it if you don't. This is the main piece of advice that I could give, if I could give to anyone. I know I'm 31 years young. Who wants your advice from a 31-year-old? But half the time when we get these questions from people, it can be answered very simply. Do something. Stop being the complainer. Stop being the person who screams that someone has to do something, and be the guy or the girl who does it. That's it. This week, go forward, be the guy who does something. See you next week.